Today we start the most common application in the information technology world nowadays. It's databases. Everything you do is stored somewhere in some place to look up, to get information from, to analyze. So this is a really important topic. Now, it usually is our hardest topic of the year, but you're going to see all kinds of neat things that you can do once you have this knowledge. Now, the program we're going to use to create databases is called Microsoft Access. And here's basically how it starts. It's kind of funny. When it starts, it asks you to save right away. And what we're going to do in the next couple of examples is create a database and then learn how to use one. So once you press this white little thing or you press New, it pops up this screen, and we're obviously going to create a database. And it's going to ask you, what do you want to call it right off the bat. So I'm going to save it here on my home computer on my temp drive. At school, you should save it somewhere on your W drive or C drive, but usually save it on your W drive. Okay. All right, I'm going to call this database Friends, and then I'm going to press Create. Now, when a database is created in Microsoft Access, it has all kinds of different components. Tables, which we're going to create first. That's where your actual stuff is. Then there's queries. Those are things like you look up things like who's the oldest person. I'm looking for this person's address. All kinds of things like that. So queries are kind of a funny name for looking up information. Another thing that you use with a Microsoft Access database are forms. We'll do that in a couple of days. Forms are like fancier ways to display your data. Reports. Reports are like printouts. Those would be things you would print out and hand in to your boss. Okay? And the last couple we're not really going to do in grade 9. All right, so let's start off with tables. So the first thing you do when you create a database is you make a table, and the table has all your information about your people, places, and things. And the first thing you do is you press Design, and you decide, well, what do I want to keep track of in my database? And we're going to keep track of our friends, obviously, so we're going to have their name, okay? And the data type is text, okay? You're going to maybe have where they live. We'll call that address, okay? And maybe you're going to have their telephone number. Now, even though telephone number has numbers in it, we're still going to think of it as text, okay? Because you're not going to do any math to it. The last one we'll do is age. And that one actually, we will make a number just so I can show you that you can do numbers too. Okay? So the first step when you make a database is you define your fields, all the bits and pieces of the information you're going to try to remember and use. Okay? Now, right after that, you click up there and you say, yes, I want to save my database, and I'm going to call this table my friends. Okay? And then I'm going to press OK. Now, as soon as you see this, this is for later on. No primary key means there's no special field that I want to have that's unique. You could think of it as name, but two people might have the same name. So for now, we're not going to define a primary key. So it says there's no primary key. Do you want to define one now? Say no. Okay, so that's the first step, to define your fields. The next step is to actually put stuff in there. So you notice right here now I've got my table called Friends, and if I double click on it, it's totally empty. All right, so you make up friends' names. I'll type in Mary. She lives at 200 King Street. Her telephone number is 905-388-1234 or something like that. Okay, age 16. I'll type in Tom. He lives at 120 Main Street, 905. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and he's 15. I'll do one more person. Okay, I'm just tabbing to do this. All right, Karen lives at 45 Osler Drive, and her telephone number. Okay, well, don't have a letter in telephone numbers, and she is 17. All right, so that's how you define your data, okay, the stuff that makes up your table. And that's basically the whole process of creating a database. You define all the stuff you want to keep track of, and then you put stuff in it. Now, once you do that, what if you made a mistake and you want to go back? Okay, so what if I want to add a new field maybe, or some more people? Well, first of all, let's say we made a mistake and we want to add a new field. You press here, and there's your stuff. Okay, and you could add a new field. All right, whatever you wanted to add. Then you'd have to go back here and add in the extra pieces that you didn't have the first time. Okay, so you go back and forth basically from the design of the database to the actual data. You can also sneak up here. See that little thing with the pencil and the ruler? That'll bring you back to there too. Okay, so that's the basis of how you create a database and then use it. Okay, and then it automatically gets saved. So if you close this, you're going through, you forgot to save. No, remember it asked you to save right from the beginning. So when you go back to load this in, what it'll do is it'll have your entire database with that table in there. Now a database can be made of 2 or 3 tables. All right, for now we're just going to use one table. Okay, so there's my friends table. I'll load it back up, and there it is. And there's the names I typed in. You could type in more. You could delete some. Let's say you wanted to get rid of Tom. You could click on it like that, right click, and delete record, and he'd be gone. Okay. Now, the second way we're going to use databases in our class is we're going to also have them so that I don't want you to type them all in. So you just start fresh and you bring in my stuff. So here's how we do that one. So we're going to start fresh, and this is how I'm going to show you the second part of my lesson today, which is this thing called queries. So we're going to make another database, okay? And we're going to call these this database queries, okay? And then we're going to press create. And it's going to be empty, and you don't have any tables yet, so we need to bring in some stuff. So what you're going to do, and you're going to do this a lot over the next couple of weeks on this topic, you're going to go to File, all right, and then you're going to go Get External Data, Import, and there's this demo that you guys are going to copy over onto your computer from Shirelli Sharing called Demos 2000. We're going to click on it for a second. This is a huge database that I made, and it has tons of these tables in there. Okay, so for now, what we're going to do is we're going to load in this one called EMP, which stands for Employee. Okay, so we're going to pick that one. We're going to press OK. Now what that did is it saved you having to type in all of that. Look at that. That's a ton of stuff, right? It's got all kinds of people's names and where they live and their phone numbers and the shift at work that they use. Okay, so why did I do that? Well, what we're going to do now is show you the real power of databases, and we're going to do these things called queries. We're going to look up information. Now you might say, well, sir, if you want to look up a guy, like you want to look up Mary Jo, there she is. I found her. What if you got to go through hundreds of thousands of people? You should learn a better way. What if I wanted people to know every single person who works shift 2? Well, you go, there's one, there's one, there's one. Well, there's another one. Like that would take you forever, right? So what you try to do is you learn the quicker ways to look up information. Now, like I said, this is called queries. So the first thing you do is you press on that thing called queries, and we're going to make a new query. All right, so we're going to look up a bunch of different things. So when you press OK, this screen appears. And right now, we've only got one table to work with, so we're just going to press Add, and there's our table. And I'm going to widen this just a bit so you can see it a little better. All right. Now, here's the first question I'm going to ask you. I want to know everybody who lives in California. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag first name, last name, and I need at least, well, I'm looking for California. That's a state, right? So I'm going to drag state there. Now, I'm looking for California, so where it says criteria, I'm going to type in CA. That's the short form for California. Then you press this little exclamation mark. Hey, and those are the 3 people that live in California. That's a query. You just made your first query. I'm just going to call it the CA query, and we're going to press OK. And again, I know what you're saying. You're going, sir, I could have figured that out, couldn't I? I guess you could have if you figured it out long enough. But when you've got hundreds of thousands of names, you're not going to be able to. Okay, let's try another query. All right, so you press query again. You press new. You double click on that, and let's start our second query. This query, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out all the people whose employee numbers are less than 6850. All right, so again, we're going to drag whatever we want people to see. And you could drag more stuff if you wanted to. Okay. Employee number, though, where's that? Right there, employee number. So I want all the employee numbers less than, okay, 6850. And when we press the exclamation, there it is. Those are the answers. Okay, and then you close that, and you save that one, and I'll just call this one employee numbers. All right, let's do a bit trickier one. This time I want people who live in California or New York. Okay, so we got to learn a different technique for that. So this part I'll go through really quickly, but again, we're going to grab first name, last name. They live in California or New York, so I'm going to put down CA there, and see this word "or" there? Right underneath, I'm going to put NY, which stands for New York, and then I'm going to press it, and there they are. Okay, so it's getting kind of cool. You can do all these different types of queries. This one's going to be called California or New York. The last one I want to show you is I want people whose employee numbers are between certain amount of numbers and certain amount. So this is going to show you a different command that's going to be really useful. Okay, so we'll add that up there. Stretch this out a little bit so you can see it better. Going to grab first name and last name like I've done every single time. Going to grab employee number again. Okay, but this time I want people between, so you actually say this word, between. You can actually say that. You write down the actual word between, and I want them between 6840 and 6860. Now imagine you having to try to do this by yourself looking at the list. It would take you forever. Press that, 1 second, done. Those are the answers. And I'm just going to call this one the between query. And there it is, a quick introduction to what is called queries, looking up stuff. And this is the most important part of a database. You have this huge pieces of information and you're looking up stuff. Okay, you get stopped by a police officer, he types in your license into the computer, and bang, in 2 seconds they know everything about you, because what it's done is it's searched the database using a query and it's come back with everything about you. Okay, and that's what's so cool about using and knowing how to work with databases. Last thing I want to show you in this lesson is how to put things in order. And again, that's really important. People always have these lists in either alphabetical, or if they're by marks, maybe the highest mark to the lowest or something, right? So that's a query too. Queries are the most important things you can do with a database. We're going to press new. We're going to press employee like we have in all the examples. And why don't we put stuff in alphabetical order actually? All right, so let's take the first name and the last name, and we'll grab a couple other things about them. We'll put down where the guy lives, and let's pick one more thing. His employee number. All right, right now if I ran this, here's what I would get. And it's not alphabetical, it's kind of just all mixed up, no particular order to it or anything like that, right? So I'm going to go back to this pencil ruler, and where it says last name, see there's a word sort there? I'm going to click right inside of there, and there's two words, ascending and descending. So ascending means alphabetical, A to Z. Descending would be Z to A. For names, you don't want descending, you want them alphabetical, right? So I'm going to press that, and I'm going to do it again, and let's see. See, all the A's are first, and then C, D, E, F, G, all the way down. Perfect. So we've just sorted our list. Okay, then we'll save it. We'll call it sorted list. All right, now there's one other really cool sort that you can do. It's almost like a double sort. So let's just show you the data for a second. Okay, see how these people are at different shifts? What I want to do is sort by the shift first. So first shift first, second shift second, third shift third, and then within those, put the people in alphabetical order. So that's kind of cool, eh? A little bit different. Here we go. So you are going to press new again. All right, we're going to add the database there. Now, this is kind of important. What I'm going to do is, because I'm going to sort by shift, I'm going to put the shift first. Drag that there first. Then I'm going to do it by name, right? So you can grab first name, last name, and I don't know, do you want to grab the street? Let's grab the street. Okay, and right now, here's what you got. Kind of all mixed up. And here's what we got to do. You're telling the computer to sort ascending, okay, by the shift, and then within that, by the name. Let's take a look if it actually works. So see how it says 111, and then within there, A, C, yeah, they're all in. There's twos, and there's D, E, yeah, perfect, okay? So that's called like a subsort. Really cool other way to have things sorted alphabetically and by shift. Okay, so we'll call that one the shift